Look, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys because someone had to say it. Living in Fort Lauderdale is way better than living in Miami. And you might just assume living in Miami is like the cream of the crop. That's the best place to live here in South Florida because it's everything you see on TV. It's all over Instagram, TikTok, YouTube even, and it just seems like the place to be. But honestly, Fort Lauderdale is extremely underrated, has almost all the same aspects of Miami. It's not too far from Miami, not too far from West Palm as well, and it has so much more going for it, I think, personally. So in this video, we're gonna talk about everything you need to know about why living in Fort Lauderdale is actually way better than living in Miami. And we'll cover everything from the lifestyle, the things to do, the beaches and the boating, obviously, sports, and ultimately the real estate as well. But before we jump into that, all I ask is that if you or anyone you know are looking to buy, sell, or even invest here in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, or even South Florida in general, my team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. We've helped hundreds of families just like yours make the move here to Fort Lauderdale, Miami, South Florida, and unfortunately, some to actually leave the area as well. So whatever we can do to help you, please let us know. You can call us, email, text us. But now let's talk about Fort Lauderdale and what you need to know about it and ultimately why it could be the next big thing here in South Florida. I think number one, we gotta start with the location. Obviously, Miami's got a clutch location. You're pretty much on the southern part of South Florida. You have the Keys right nearby. You have some beautiful blue water right there, close to the Bahamas as well. But honestly, I think Fort Lauderdale's location's a little bit better. Yes, it is a little bit further north. However, it's smack dab in the middle of everything going on here in South Florida. You're only about a 30-minute Brightline ride down to Miami. You're about a 45-minute to an hour ride up to West Palm. About another 15-20 minutes north from Fort Lauderdale to Boca. You can get to Aventura pretty easily, Coral Springs, Pembroke Pines, you get to the Gables. I mean, you get out to Wellington if you want to. It's in a clutch location. Not to mention, you're still only about 3.5 to 4 hours to Key West. You're close to the Bahamas. A lot of people actually take flights to Puerto Rico as well. You're about a 3-hour drive to Orlando. So as you can see, it's in a clutch location right in the heart of everything. And speaking of that clutch location, I think we also got to talk about the lifestyle aspect of things. Obviously, you know, you're moving to South Florida, Miami, or Fort Lauderdale. The big thing people want to go and do is the beaches. Obviously, Miami has Miami Beach. You have Haulover. You even have Key Biscayne, which are all great and beautiful beaches. But Fort Lauderdale's got some great beaches as well. Whether you're actually going to Fort Lauderdale Beach itself, where pretty much is like the spring break mecca, and that's what, you know, a lot of people think of it as. But there's actually a lot of restaurants and things during spring break. It's packed, but after spring break, it's nowhere near as bad. You do have plenty of different things to do. There's even a basketball court. But if you're looking for something a little bit more low key, we have those options as well. So you have Hollywood Beach and the Broad Walk. It's not a boardwalk, a broad walk right nearby. Dania Beach, which between you and I might be the best kept secret beach here in the South Florida area. A lot of locals really go here. Maybe some people who have a layover from a flight because you'll see them out there with suitcases. But it's super quiet, not commercialized yet, thank God, and that's a lot of fun. Then you can also head a little bit further north. You get into Lauderdale by the Sea Beach, which is great. Great little downtown area at Lauderdale by the Sea as well. And then you get into Pompano Beach, where they've completely redone the pier and the fishing village. So if you're looking to grab a bite to eat, maybe some drinks right there on the beach at Lucky Fish, you can have that option as well. But what I personally like, and what I would rather do than go to the beach, is go boating. Now, I think the boating in Fort Lauderdale is so much better. Number one, we're the yachting capital of the world, for a reason. Number two, we also have over 300 miles of inland waterways and canals to explore. You'll see everything from people out there on kayaks and jet skis all the way up to mega yachts. So no matter what you can do, just get out there on the water. It's a ton of fun. You're probably thinking if you've never been out on a boat before too, like, hey, what is there to really do? Well, number one, you can go up and down the intercoastal and explore. You can go back in the canals, explore, see the homes, the real estate. You can even go down the New River, pull up, and even grab a bite to eat at something like Salt 7. Now, if none of that's really your vibe, you can also go to a sandbar, like the sandbar that's just north of the 17th Street Bridge here in Fort Lauderdale. You can head down south to Miami and explore. You can head north up to Boca and go to Lake Boca or Lake Wyman. Speaking of heading out and getting around, you can also go out of two different ports that we have right here in the Fort Lauderdale area, with that of the Lighthouse Point Inlet, as well as Port Everglades. So you do have a lot of great options to get around. Now, speaking of getting around, there's no way around it. We got to talk about the traffic. Obviously, Miami traffic is like no other. That's a different beast. People complain, bitch and moan about I-4 traffic. I promise you, Miami traffic is a completely different animal. Not on the same level yet as that of LA, but it's pretty freaking bad. It'll take you easily 45 minutes to an hour to pretty much get anywhere. Like for example, going from Brickell to Coral Gables, that could be a 20-minute drive, that could be an hour-and-a-half drive. Meanwhile, in Fort Lauderdale, traffic isn't nearly as bad. Is it getting worse? Yes, but it's not anywhere near that of Miami yet. It's pretty easy to get around. You can go up and down A1A, you can go up and down Federal. You can take the back roads like that of Andrews. Also, we have 595, 95, and the Turnpike to get around. And if you're all the way out west, you can even take 75. So there's a lot of different options for you. And naturally, with the traffic, we have to talk about the crowds and the people. Miami is on a different level when it comes to the amount of people constantly there, whether they're tourists, people who live there, or people just coming in for work. Meanwhile, here in Fort Lauderdale, it's nowhere near as busy. Obviously, we do have our busier seasons, like that of what we call season during the winter months, usually about November to Marchish, when people from the north, the northeast, and even Canada are coming down here. Still nothing crazy. You will see a little bit more traffic, and the people who actually use their blinkers, that's how you know they're not from here, just kidding. But it's a little bit busier than during spring break as well. It does get, like anywhere else in South Florida and Florida during spring break, it's gonna be a little bit more packed, but all that's mostly near the beach. Now, when it comes to the lifestyle aspect of things, I will say Miami is much more hustle and bustle and go, 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 go. Someone had a great way of putting it I saw on Instagram the other day, that Miami's kind of like the Vegas of Florida. Now, I kind of agree with it. We just don't have the casinos and everything else, but there's a lot of different things to do. Meanwhile, Fort Lauderdale is so much more laid back. There's a little bit of hustle and bustle in the downtown area, and especially around Las Olas, but nothing like that of downtown Miami, Brickell, or even south of 5th in Miami Beach. So that's a nice thing about it. Plus, right around the downtown area, it's not just all high rises. So you can live in a high rise if you want to, so that's a condo or apartment, but there's also completely residential neighborhoods right around the downtown and Las Olas area. So if you want to live in a single family house or townhome, you can do that. You get a little bit more space. It's a little bit more laid back. You can walk your dog, and there's actually green spaces for them to go to the bathroom compared to that of Miami, where pretty much it's just all concrete. It's a concrete jungle. So that's another thing that I really do like about Fort Lauderdale. Not to mention, if you don't want to live near any of that, you can still live in the suburbs of Fort Lauderdale. So areas like that of Davie, Plantation, Coral Springs, Weston, Pines, Miramar, and you're only maybe at the most, even if you're all the way out in Weston, 45 minutes with traffic to downtown Fort Lauderdale, which is not bad at all compared to that of Miami, where if you want to live all the way out west and you get down to downtown Miami, easy hour-and-a-half, hour drive. Like if you lived in Homestead and you're trying to get to downtown Miami, that's an hour and a half, no question about it. Now, when it comes to the sports scene, I know a lot of people probably think, no, Joe, Miami, by far, that's not even close. But to be honest with you, there's only two teams that actually play in Miami. The Heat, which play in downtown Miami, and the Miami Marlins. To be honest with you, I don't really see anyone going to a Marlins game right now because they haven't been very good lately. Heat games, I get it, but you could take the Bright Line, which drops you off like a couple blocks from the arena, and it's not bad. Then you don't have to fight over parking and all that. Well, the Dolphins, they play all the way up in Miami Gardens. The Florida Panthers play in Sunrise, which is technically the Fort Lauderdale area. And the same thing with Inter Miami. They play in Fort Lauderdale as well. So it's split, almost 50-50. Technically, we have two teams, they have two teams, so kind of even, but it's still pretty easy to get around whether you're going to any of these sporting events or even a University of Miami game. Now, I will say on the food scene side of things, Miami kind of takes the cake, especially when it comes to high-end restaurants. They do have a lot more Michelin star restaurants. I don't think we currently have any at the time of this video in the Fort Lauderdale area. However, we are getting more and more restaurants from the Miami area moving up here to the Fort Lauderdale area, even to Boca, and those from New York coming down as well on the higher end side. Now, one thing I do think we do a great job at is little hole-in-the-wall restaurants and seafood restaurants, like that of Coconuts right here on Fort Lauderdale Beach. Honestly, one of my personal favorites. We have S3 and Tocado if you love sushi. Zona Fresca if you want some good Mexican food. I know it's quick service, but it's one of my favorites. Can't go wrong with Chipotle, but that's everywhere. So we do have a lot of different options out there, as well as some great Italian options as well, like that of Runway 84, right off of Marina Mile. Now, with all that being said and kind of those restaurants coming, obviously that sounds like development, right? And that's where I think Fort Lauderdale is a great investment opportunity right now. We're really at the ground floor for Fort Lauderdale. We're not quite there on the same level yet as Miami, but all these new buildings are coming to the Fort Lauderdale area. We have almost 30 new buildings in the works set to be completed between the 2027 to 2030 timeframe. And they're everything from luxury condo buildings to commercial buildings as well. So we have projects like that of Celine right there on Fort Lauderdale Beach. We also have the St. Regis Bahia Mar, which is set to completely transform the Fort Lauderdale Beach area, which will be right next to that Marina Village, which just opened. So it's like food kiosks and things. It's an outdoor food hall essentially, with even a floating bar, which is really cool. Back to the buildings though, we also have the Pier 66 residences. They're completely redoing the convention center. We have Andare, Umbel, the Viceroy residences, Sears Town, and then not even mentioning the development going on in Pompano with the W residences, the Waldorf Astoria, Salado, Casamar, and so much more. So as you can see, a lot of these developers are extremely bullish on the greater Fort Lauderdale area, and it's a great time to get in at the ground floor pricing. And speaking of ground floor pricing, right now the median sales price for a single family home in the Miami area is $650,000 compared to a single family home in the Fort Lauderdale area, which is $559,000. And obviously there's a big range in there, but there is a lot more affordable homes in the greater Fort Lauderdale area. Whether you're looking to live on the water, you're looking for a larger estate home out west, or even wanting to live on an acre of land out in Southwest Ranches. There's plenty of different options here in the greater Fort Lauderdale area. Not to mention, we have some great beachfront condos right there in Central Beach, Galt Mile, and even the Pompano Beach area. And last but not least, we gotta obviously talk about the nightlife options. When you think of South Florida and Miami, that's probably the first thing that comes to mind for a lot of people, and deservedly so. Going out of Miami is unparalleled. Whether you're going to Wynwood, downtown, Brickell, Gables, Coconut Grove, even Miami Beach, and we have some of the best clubs in the entire country, whether it's Live, Space, or even 11. Meanwhile though, in Fort Lauderdale, I will say I kind of like it a little bit more. Very similar to the overall lifestyle, a lot more laid back. Definitely don't have clubs like that. I mean, we have the new one, Chemistry. I haven't been yet, so I can't say it's good or bad, but it's not really the vibe here in Fort Lauderdale. We do have a great overall nightlife though, whether you're looking to go out on Las Olas, you're looking to go to the beach and grab a drink, or even to the downtown area with some great options like that of Salt 7, Palm Room, Moxie's. We even have downtown with Booze Garden. You can go to the world famous Elbow Room right there in the corner of Las Olas and A1A. And we're even starting to get some more rooftop bars. So obviously we have the OGs like Sparrow and at W1LO, but we also have the new Nube and Pier 6 in Pompano, not to mention some great breweries like my personal favorite one, Funky Buddha, as well as Invasive Species. So there's really something for everyone. And we're even getting a 60 Vines because there is more of a push towards some of these wine bars, which should be a really nice thing moving forward. All in all, I think living in Fort Lauderdale is just better for the laid back lifestyle, the boating, the new development opportunities, and just everything that the city has going for it. But what do you think? Would you rather live in Fort Lauderdale or would you rather live in Miami? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you're looking to live in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, or South Florida in general, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can call us, email, text us, whatever's easiest for you, we got you.